Hey everybody, welcome to the HO Scale Bessemer in Lake Erie. I'm Ray Brown. Been working on this back half of this ladder at the North Bessemer end of kind of just what I call the big yard when I'm just talking. Um, so operationally, the way this works, the railroad is just kind of folded around on itself. So that's the north end of the railroad and the Conneaut end of the railroad. You head south all the way around the railroad, and eventually, as you work your way into North Bessemer, the North Bessemer yard just becomes the Conneaut yard. It's a self-staging railroad. Operationally, we'll run it as a point-to-point layout, but it's really a continuous loop. Anyway, the front half of these switches I built all in place, and that worked out really well. Been really happy with the results. The back half, it just kind of looked a little backbreaking maybe to get in there and build them in place. So I thought, I've been building these in the jigs one at a time. And then you get back to this back crossover. So the way I've done this, the way I did the other end, I built each switch in the jig. And now what I've done is I've unsoldered the rail beyond the frog. So that will go in there. Done the same thing to this one. Now, as I put these in here, I will trim that rail to just leave the little bit of gap, soldered it in, so you get that one nice continuous rail, right through the frog, other than the gap. And I think that works out really well. It works out well electrically. It works out well from nice, smooth, rolling whatever. And it's an easy way to build a crossover out of the jigs. And kind of be able to customize a crossover for a spot. Buying the actual crossover jig seems a little silly to me. Unless you had a pile to make, I suppose, but whatever. So I'll go ahead and get these rails trimmed up and we'll get this crossover soldered together. I just got, a couple little tracks here to connect in, and been wiring this one as I go. So everything's wired up other than the actual control button for the motors, but the motors are all in, the frogs are all wired. Just got to hook up the buttons. So once this is done, what's left to do here at North Bessemer, I got a couple track yard here I'm going to make for general merchandise freight, and I got to connect that switch back there for that. That's the Union going south out of town to Pittsburgh. And the reason I'm going to build this little general merchandise yard is the big yard here is really more visual staging than a working yard. So this will be for the merchandise freight, kind of a place to work the locals. That would be interchange traffic with the Union. So it'll be kind of an important little piece. But that way it can be worked separately, and not be confused with the Conneaut end and everything going on down there. So I think from an operational standpoint, it's going to be pretty slick. All right. Let me build a little bit more here and we'll check back. All right, so a little further along, starting to wire up all the control buttons for the tortises, and this is really old school. Just the simple connect to 12 volts, positive, negative control for a tortoise. Not like
what I did over here with these halo LEDs, those are running through a Digitrax SE74, and eventually we'll be live on the dispatcher's panel over here in the yard. I just thought I'd go old school. So these buttons that I've been using, these are these guitar foot switch buttons, and they're double pull, double throw switch, um, just like a toggle. Oops, good job, Ray. Just like what most people use for this kind of stuff. And it's just, instead of being a toggle, it's a latching push button. So if maybe you're, come on, focus. There we go. Maybe if you're new to the hobby or just haven't done this sort of thing before, the way these double pull, double throw switches work is pretty straightforward. So, and the way you wire them is pretty straightforward, even though maybe it doesn't look like it right now. So, double pull, I'm probably going to say this wrong, somebody will probably correct me, but for sake of argument, it's divided into two sides, and those two sides do not interact in any way. So you've got, one leg, center leg, I'll call it a top leg and bottom leg since that's just the way we're looking at it. Top leg, middle leg, bottom leg. Those three work together, and then the three on the other side work together. There's no interaction side to side. So basically, the double throw is something is always connected to the center leg. So it's just a matter of, is it the top leg that's connected to it? So, these two the top leg and center are connected, or you throw the switch, now the center and the bottom are connected, and the top is no longer connected. And when it throws, it throws both sides, Anyway, so the way you wire this, we would just want to think about power in, power out as an easy way to think about it. So you bring a positive and a negative in, and then you have power going out to the turnout motor, the tortoise, from the center. So basically, the way the tortoise throws is we'll have a positive on one side, negative on the other. Then to change the direction of the tortoise, you just reverse the polarity. So what we do is we bring our power in to one side, of a positive and a negative, let's say, and then you just make a jumper that crisscrosses. So the positive becomes the other side, the negative becomes the other side. And that doesn't create a short because you're only ever touching or connecting the center to one side at a time. So real simple wiring, very old school, simple way of doing this. And then I just put in a little, basically power in, power out terminal block to the tortoise, and feed all that through the hole, connect the wires, I screw the terminal block up. So I got an easy way to maintenance this in the future if something would ever happen, switch would go bad or something. And that's it. My nice little 3D printed switch holders working out pretty good, and I drew those so that to tighten the switch, the socket would fit. Socket fits right in there to tighten the button up. So that's how we're doing that. And then once I get done with that, I'll go back in and put in the LED indicator lamps, just like I did on the other end. So track works all in. It's all been tested. Just got to get the switches working. And then we'll go through and wire the frogs once all that's in. And I pre-wired the frog, down to the switch machine. So it's just a matter of connecting some wires. It goes pretty quick once I get to that point. And actually, if you're putting tortoises in, power the frog. Even if you think you don't need it, it takes no time. If you're there anyway, it just takes a minute to wire the frog. And then you're just kind of future-proofing problems. And then just with so many switches in these big yards, even with keep alives and everything, it really helps. And I never have any problems with engines passing through all this stuff between powered frogs and current keepers. Everything's nice and smooth. All right, enough of me babbling here about that. Let's make some more progress, and I'll check back in. Okay, welcome back. I got a bunch more done here. All the track is now in for the North Bessemer end of the yard here. So operationally, all of this more acts as visual staging more than a functional yard in operations. Now, that doesn't mean to say that, you know, maybe there won't be a little swapping of cars going on, but for the most part, it's visual staging versus coming this way. This little bit here is going to be more working yard for merchandise freight coming off what I'm calling the Union, coming out of that tunnel. So this will let, you know, locals actually flop some cars in and out and build a train for northbound locals, and a place for southbound locals to drop their cars. So yeah, so all that tracks in. Got two little stub tracks here, two tracks with end to end, and I'm kind of calling that track there as the Union Main coming into the yard. At least I think that's how it's going to go. So I did get all these tracks wired. You can kind of see a gap there. I insulated this whole section. It's running on its own circuit breaker, and I can kill power to that yard independently from everything else. I decided not to be able to kill each individual track. I can do that over here in the big yard, but over here I kind of thought you're either working this or you're not. So I put it on its own power switch, just in case I want to shut it off. So time to start, and all the tortoises are in. They're physically in. I just got to start wiring them. So same thing I did in the other end. I 3D printed these little holders, and this is that guitar foot switch. It's a double pull, double throw switch, just like the toggle switches that, you know, everybody uses. It's a push button instead. So now I just drill a hole in the fascia. It's an 1 1/8" hole, and that just kind of goes in there. So I don't think I want to do anything to kind of permanently put it in there. It's in there fairly snug. And because, you know, the flange and the push button, you're only ever pushing on it. There's no reason it should ever want to come out. But I figured if I did ever have one that, you know, was kind of a problem, I could just put a screw in from the bottom just to kind of nip it tight. So what I want to do, I've got a 12-volt bus running under there just for turnout motors. And what I did on the other end, I just make every switch gets a little 4-block, power block. So 2 wires coming in, and then 2 wires coming out. So I just have to, solder the jumpers onto this. 2 wires in, 2 wires out. Not very long, just so I can put the switch in, screw the wires in, and part of that's easy installation. If I hook it up, and I got power backwards, which is actually kind of one of the nice things, you know, with just a push button switch, there really is no backwards, I guess. But then when I put the LED indicator light on it, I just can connect the wires to that power strip too. It's real easy. And then same thing, if I put it in, it's backwards. It's real easy to flip. So yeah, I'll get busy doing that. Bunch of them to do here. I mean, no small number of switches to put power to. And we'll check back from that. Alright, well, I got all those buttons in. Got the track painted. And working on getting some of the signage up here. Obviously, ballast work to do, buildings to build, on and on and on, but I want to call this done for now, move on to some other part of the layout. You know, the track works here, doesn't look too bad, just painted like this, and it's functional. So yeah, we'll get moving on to something else. Come back to detailing this out at some point in the future. So you can kind of see the Union going off there into the tunnel. Don't mind my T1 sitting on the roundhouse. I just really like that engine. It's a Broadway Blue Line, I think. Still runs real good. But let's see what we can't maybe do here. Just put some cars away. Into the merchandise section of the yard. The track in the yard's a mix of micro-engineering rail on just these plastic tie strips. I think there was Central Valley maybe, and then just micro-engineering flex. Of course, all the switches obviously I hand laid or made in the jigs, but so just talking about the street track. All right, so we'll see if we can get some switches thrown here. Helps if I turn the power on. There we go. So that switch is thrown. I'll need not that switch. Yep, that one. And that one. And then that'll stay straight, so I'll use that as a lead, and then all the way down to this guy. All right. So, been a long time coming getting to this point. I think I got the front half of the track in the yard done here, gosh, years ago. And just now coming back to finish out the track. You know, it's things to consider when you're working on a bigger layout. You know, what do you wanna work on next? And I've been prioritizing things that gave me more functionality, and other than this section here in the back, none of this really gives me any more functionality. It just gives me more places to stage. I figured I was about ready for that. And doing the honors today is Union 304. This is a 010-2 switcher, kind of an odd wheel arrangement. You can find the real one of these locomotives sitting in a museum in Greenville, Pennsylvania. After the Union was done with them, they sent them up to the Duluth-Mesabian Iron Range, and I think they got lettered into the, or sorry, renumbered into the 500s or 700s. I don't remember. But kind of cool. The engine sitting in Greenville. It's painted for the DM&IR on one side, and it's painted for the Union on the other. I think that's kind of cool. The model is brass. One of the few I didn't do on the layout. That was done by All Brass Back Shop. They did a heck of a job on it. It's amazing. Sounds good. Runs dead smooth. And we'll see if I got any problems here or not. I notice usually after I paint the track, for a little while after I paint the track, it takes a while for the rails to really kind of totally loosen all the way back up. The paint makes them a little sticky for a little bit. All right. So let's try that switch, and that switch. I'll go ahead and push this cut of cars in. I'm thinking this back track, I'm going to try to teach guys working the yard to leave this back track open. You kind of need it as a runner and a drill track, and you park a bunch of cars there, and then you kind of start losing functionality. I did order myself a couple kits for some factories at the Allegheny Industrial District. I'm going to have to go on a structure kick here at some point. I'm not sure what that load's supposed to be on that flat car. Is if it's supposed to be a generator, maybe? I don't know. But might have to at least take it off and paint it, if not trade it out for maybe a diesel engine coming out of Cooper Bessemer or something. Like the flat car though. Flat car's nice. I'm definitely happy with the way things have turned out. You know, the Conneaut end and the North Bessemer end of the yard here. I think it's going to be pretty much everything the way I envisioned it. Do love that engine. Might get a little diesel union switcher to leave over here, just for some variety, or if this engine's having problems. And work complete. The 304 will head off to the haul shops. At least we'll imagine that's where it's going. All right. So I do have that roundhouse to build for right there. I think that looks pretty close to the roundhouse that's really there. We'll do some bunch of little buildings here. I got a water tower to get in here for North Bessemer, and got to do a ramp here for piggyback loading, and oh, who knows all what else. But anyway, I think we're going to call that a wrap for here. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. And I think maybe as an upcoming video, I'll do kind of a step-by-step on how I took the new Scale Trains SD38s and gutted the electronics for swapping out for TCS. A little bit more to it than just putting in the 21 pin board if you want all the lights to work. Anyway, yeah, I think that just about does it. I think I got a bunch of switching to do in the yard here. I got a lot of things shuffled in a pretty interesting order right now, to say the least. But a little bit of labeling to finish up here, and yeah, we'll move on. We'll be moving over there to the Allegheny Industrial District. We'll come up with a plan for that. All right. Yeah, stay tuned. Catch everybody next time here on the HO Scale, Bessemer and Lake Erie.